Start. Mike, how are you? Great to see you.
Great to see you. Great to be here today.
I'm excited to be here as well. Hey, today is a really, really important step for us. I know we've just gotten started. We just completed the interviewing process. And to me, today is the most important part of really starting the business for you. And so what I want to do is the first thing I want to talk a little bit about is your goals and your dreams and why it is that you're getting started here, okay?
Okay.
And I say it really from this perspective. I think I could be the worst guy ever at teaching you how to do the business, but if you were crystal clear on why this had to work for you, and you believe that it could work for you here, that you could achieve your dreams and goals, you'd move heaven and earth to figure out how to get it done.
Oh, yes.
On the other hand, I could be the greatest ever at teaching you how to do the business, but if you weren't clear on why you needed to do it, on what it was that you were trying to achieve, what your dreams and goals were, you're probably not going to get out of bed in the morning and do the work. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Now, by the way, I happen to think I'm the best ever at teaching you how to do the business. But what we need is the fuel. What's really going to drive it, what's really going to give us the passion and the energy is what's most important, not to me, but what's most important to you and to your family. Now, what's your wife's name again? Is it Ricky? That's what
yes.
I thought. Okay. I want you, and you guys have
we have eight
kids,
eight
right?
kids together.
That's right. That's what I thought. So I've got 3, and I know how crazy that is. 8 is insane, I'm sure.
Our oldest is 17 down to 4. 4 boys, 4 girls.
17, that's fantastic. So when the youngest of the kids goes to bed at night, and you and Ricky have a little bit of quiet time at night before you, I'm sure, just pass out from exhaustion, and you guys get a chance to talk just as a man and a woman, as husband and wife, about the things that are important to you guys. What are some of the things that you guys talk about over the next year, or 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years that are really important to the two of you as a couple and to you guys as a family as well? So what are some of the things you guys talk about?
Well, with that many kids, school is always one thing that we talk about.
Sure.
And how are we going to be able to afford it? So that's something that we always talk about. My oldest is 17. He's a year away from going forward. And, we talk about maybe he needs to go into the military. Maybe there's some other options because we believe school is important.
Sure.
But financially, 8 kids go to USC. I would need 4 more jobs and many more hours during the day.
Amen.
And we also talk about, you talked about a few minutes of alone time. With that many crazy things going on in life, we also talk about we'd sure like to get away and enjoy that alone time.
Sure.
Whether it be a weekend away in San Diego or a cruise or whatever it may be.
Great.
We talk about those things. We talk about even looking at retirement. We're both in our 40s, and we don't want to work into our 80s. I don't want to be a Walmart greeter.
Right.
So, how are we going to achieve that? I don't have a huge retirement.
Right.
My wife's been fortunate to be a nurse for about 18 years.
Oh, fantastic.
But her retirement isn't, if we were to
Modest.
end today, it's, we would be done in 6 months. So, how are we going to achieve the golden years?
Right, right.
And so we have a lot of questions. How to achieve that besides just working and working and working. We talk about we'd like another car. We'd like maybe a vacation home someday.
Sure.
The ability to travel. When you have 8 kids and they all want to go on a Disney cruise, you can imagine what that would cost. But we'd love to do. We have those high goals.
Sure.
But we don't know how to achieve all of those yet.
Right. What about, so you guys talk about traveling as a family, you talk about traveling as a couple, talk about student, college education, right, that sort of stuff. Talk about retirement at some point, that's important to you guys. What about the home that you guys live in? Is it adequate for your needs, or?
It's my kids aren't with me full time. They're with us about 120 days a year. Okay. So approximately, yes. So when they're there, we're a little bit crowded. But I think our home right now is good for what we need. We actually talked about one day when they're all gone buying a little 1-bedroom, 1-bath, so they can only visit, and then they have to leave because they can only visit mom and dad. So, but
at the last minute, your wife will change her mind and be 1-bedroom, 2-bath.
Exactly,
watch,
my bathroom. Well, it needs a big closet too.
Right.
I get a hanger space, but she
Exactly.
a closet. We've actually talked about keeping a home in California, and hopefully. My family's from Utah, and so is her family, and so maybe having something that we can visit in the summer. I'm not a big fan of the cold anymore, so Southern California is awesome during the summer months or the winter months, and vice versa, maybe in Utah.
So maybe keeping your current home, but maybe down the road getting a second home in Utah?
Yes.
Outstanding. What about, do you guys have anything that you want to pay off? Any student loans, credit cards, cars, anything of that nature?
We've been fortunate to be wise in our spending. We don't have a great deal of debt. We do have a home that we're paying for. Sure. Our cars are paid for. They're older. They're not, I'd love to be driving something different, but they're paid for. And as you know, car payments, they're no fun.
Yes.
So our large debt, those are home. Our student loans are paid off from way back when. Our biggest expense are our kids, a mortgage, and then just the day-to-day running of life.
Sure.
And then that seems to take all the money, and savings isn't happening.
In a perfect world, and I know it seems a little bit unrealistic, especially when your oldest is 17, but in a perfect world with 8 kids, to what degree would you like to be able to support your kids in continuing their education?
If we could just, my oldest wants to go to BYU.
Okay.
That's a
great school, expensive school.
Very expensive school, and so we're looking at $25,000 to $30,000 a year to afford that. If we could pay half, or at least take care of his housing,
sure,
and some of those other things, and him be able to get. I still think my kids will need student loans.
Sure.
I got student loans. My wife got student loans. I don't think student loans are a bad thing, but we'd also like to be able to help our children. My wife was fortunate enough, her father was a great saver. He saved and saved and saved. So he paid for her last 2 years at USC.
Wow.
To get her nursing degree. Which...
Bet he didn't have 8 kids.
He did not.
Yeah,
he did not.
Just a guess.
And that was that allowed her actually to save money towards the home that we're in now. So it was, as a positive, she didn't put it towards school, but she was able to then... We'd like to be able to help our kids with a house maybe one day. At least a down payment.
Of all these things, what are like, for the two of you, what are the most important ones to you? Because they're all great goals.
Helping our kids with school.
Okay. It's a big
and helping them get a start. That first home.
Right.
What, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, whatever it may be, a start to
Sure.
help offset those early years that seem to be so difficult when you're in your 20s and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So those would be our greatest things, and then to be able to help our children as they go on, as they have their own problems in life, to be able to be mom and dad, to be able to help. That would be great, to not be able to be able to give them what they need and be in a position to do that instead of, I'm sorry, we can't help right now, because we're still living paycheck to paycheck.
Right. Instead of you can give them empathy, or you can give them empathy and a check.
Yes.
And
yes.
it's a better medicine.
That would be a better. That would be. I mean, that would be great.
Okay, cool, great. Let me ask you this: where you are right now in your current job, what's the likelihood that you're going to be able to achieve these things?
I'd have to work till I'm 80.
So you're 80.
Yeah, I mean.
And then delay their college education until you're 80, or
they would have to get. They'd have to find. They'd have to find other means. I mean,
okay.
they would have to. They'd have to go in debt.
Okay.
We'd have to support them emotionally, but not financially.
So I know you've got a good job right now, but even as good as it is and even with your wife Ricky working, it's not enough to really do the things that you want to do for your family in the way that you want to do.
We survive month to month.
Okay.
We save a little, enough to take care of the unexpecteds when the car breaks or something happens. But we're not saving enough to allow us to retire.
Is having a short-term savings, like an emergency fund or a bigger one, important to you as well?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Terrific. Let me ask you this. What do you think a small home in Utah would cost something to go to and visit during the summers?
To buy to where we've looked, to about $250,000 for a piece of property and just a modular home to put on a piece of property out in Mona, Utah. I don't know if you know where Mona, Utah is, but it's where her family is. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Michelle and I have talked many times about Mona, Utah, and the possibility of us relocating their retirement. Somewhere on the list.
Somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yes.
Somewhere on the list.
It wasn't on my list always.
Mona, Utah. Okay. And when you think about, and now I've looked into Disney cruises. They're psychotic. When you talk about, the reality and the goal of taking your family on a vacation, you and Ricky and the 8 kids, like on a yearly basis, I'm assuming. How much do you think, not a Disney cruise, but how much would the average family vacation take if you guys just want to go once a year for 5 days?
To go to Disneyland one day for us is $1,500.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
For one day. That's tickets, admission. That's one day at Disneyland is about $1,500 for all 10 of us. So more of it, as we talk about family vacations, are more dreams right now than they are anything else.
So what do you think a family vacation, not that doesn't include a tent or a sleeping bag? You guys take a 5-day family vacation for 8. What do you think? Not a Disney cruise, but not camping on the other hand. What's a reasonable? Is it 3, 4, 5, 6,000?
Probably
5,000, $5,000 to $6,000 a year would be able to do that. I know you mentioned the importance of you and Ricky being able to get away 2, 3, 4 times, maybe once a quarter, 2, 3, 4 times a year to be able to just get maybe a long weekend, 2, 3 day weekend away. What do you think something like that is going to set you back for you guys just sort of be able to?
Just to go down to San Diego for a 2, 3 day weekend, you're probably looking $600-700 at least for 2 nights, cut nice dinner, maybe catch a ball game.
Yeah.
A little shopping.
It's the neat thing is we got San Diego, we got Santa Barbara, and a lot of places that are close that we can sort of reach and do that. Michelle and I like to do that often. Sometimes just Orange County.
My wife has a dream of going to Italy. She wants to go to Italy, and she loves bread and she loves cheese.
Yeah.
So she wants to go to Italy and see all of that. So that's one of our bucket things.
I think that's 2 of the major 4 food groups: bread and cheese. Yes.
We're not big wine connoisseurs, but I hear that wine is amazing there also.
That's what I hear as well.
My mom was born in Holland.
Really?
So I have a dream of visiting and seeing Holland during the tulip season and
that'd be neat.
And see that.
Get some of the shoes.
Yes, the wooden shoes.
Yes, the shoes.
I know that's on your bucket list.
Okay, so the family vacations. What do you think to build an emergency fund? What would make you feel most comfortable? You and Ricky feel really secure as far as having an emergency fund.
They say a minimum of 3 months to 6 months saved up. Right now, our expenses are about $6,000 a month.
Okay.
To survive. That's surviving. So not thriving. That's surviving. So we're looking, that's $36,000.
18 to 36.
You know, so we need an emergency fund, at least $20,000 just sitting there.
Sure.
That we have access to.
Yeah, that certainly takes the edge off of things a lot. It gives you a lot of peace of mind. You mentioned when we were talking about your oldest son. What's your oldest son's name?
Aaron.
Aaron, the 17-year-old. His desire to go to BYU and the possibility if you could contribute $10,000 or $12,000 a year to that. Would it be safe to assume that would sort of be a goal with each one of the kids, about $10,000 to $12,000 a year for each one of them? So 8 times 4 is 32 years of college, I'm presuming, at about $10,000 to $12,000 per year for each.
That adds up quick.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Thankfully, they're spread out all the way 17 to 4.
I see my youngest is 4, so we're 14 years away from even being close to done. So,
and then retirement. How much do you think in today's dollars that you and Ricky would need in today's dollars to be able to, on a monthly basis, to enjoy your life the way that you want to be able to enjoy your life? What's a good realistic number for you to shoot for?
I would say, so in today's dollars, we want to stay right around where we're at, $6,000 to $8,000 a month.
I think that's a good fair assessment,
of liquid income.
Most financial planner types suggest at our age that we'll need somewhere between about 70 to 90% of your current income in retirement, because where some costs go down in retirement, like the cost of dry cleaning, for example, other costs go up, like the cost of health care and travel oftentimes and things of that nature. So I think that's a good realistic goal for us to shoot for. So we've got retirement, we've got family vacations, we've got adult vacations, we've got the kids' college education, we've got the need to build an emergency fund. And it sounds like just where you guys are right now, just sort of month to month, like you could probably use a little bit more of an injection of cash flow on a month-to-month basis.
That'd make things a little easier.
Yeah.
We could breathe easier.
Well, an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month, I'm sure would go a long way.
That'd be awesome, yeah.
Okay, great. Of all those things, let me say, today is April 21st, I believe? April. So if we look at May, June, July, 90 days from now, we were looking back. We were sitting in this office July 21st, and we looked back. What would have to happen for you, Mike, by then, by July 21st, for you to look back on July 21st and go, man, That was a great decision I made 3 months ago. I feel great about the start that I've got and where we're heading direction-wise and the progress that we're making. What would give you that feeling of confidence?
I feel it achieving some of my goals, seeing me moving forward instead of floating and dog paddling and staying my nose above water.
What do you think would be a good realistic goal 90 days from now that you could look back and go, okay, it's not like I haven't got the second home yet, but 90 days is a pretty short period of time, but I feel like this is meaningful enough to give me a sense that I'm making progress.
So I was making another $1,000, $1,500 a month.
I think that's fantastic. An extra $1,000, $1,500, not to stay there, but
yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, fantastic. That's terrific. Let me ask you a second question. A year from now, it's April 21st in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
What would you feel great about if you looked back a year from now and you say, man, we don't have the house yet, we don't have all the kids' college education squared away yet, but we're definitely making meaningful progress. I feel great about the year that I've spent working part-time with WFG. What would have to happen within that first year?
That emergency fund be where it needs to be.
Excellent. I think that's
maybe replacing the income I'm making now, plus some possibly.
Fantastic.
Having some of those questions answered, seeing I'm going somewhere, that there's answers to the questions that we have, that our dreams are achievable, some growth in those areas. Those would be awesome, amazing.
Awesome. That's great, great, great stuff. Here's what I want you to do. I want to walk you through this fast start process. Okay. And the first thing I'd like to have you do, Mike, is I just wanted, you've done a great job of sort of letting me into your world a little bit and helping me to see what's important to you, because what's always important to me is to help other people achieve what's important to them. And knowing what those things are and being as specific as you are really helps. What I'd like you to do is just write down sort of those 10 things in your own handwriting so that we've got sort of a copy of them, something that we're aiming for. And if you just want to jot those down real quick, that'd be terrific.
All right.
So we've got saving for the kids' college.
So savings, this is an emergency fund.
Emergency fund, you're putting to number one. Okay, good.
All my kids are getting to the age of cars.
Yep. We didn't even discuss that.
Yes. It's amazing. I don't know if when you were growing up, when I asked my parents for a car, they told me to go get a job. This generation just asks their parents for a car and expects it to come.
I actually had a job and saved up enough money before I turned 16. I bought a 1972 Nova for $900. Nice.
My first was a 1969 Camaro.
Oh, that's trouble.
Yes.
So saving for an emergency fund, saving for the kids' college, we said is important.
I think the vacations will keep us sane as a family.
I do too.
And the college fund.
My wife has said many times, even if we didn't achieve what we've achieved financially, that she's come to realize over the years how important it is for families just to get a break and take time away as a break where there's no laundry, there's no bills, just spend time as a family together wherever you are, and it's been a great blessing in our lives, certainly the past 15 years that we've gotten lots of opportunities to do that here.
Our retirement, I know we talked earlier in some of the other, when we met earlier and through the first presentation, how important retirement was. I'm excited to learn about retirement because something I don't know much about.
Good. Doing is learning. So as we say for retirement, that's a great learning experience.
Both of our mothers are getting older, and we look at the possibility of having to take care of them at some point.
We didn't even touch on that. That's fantastic.
Pay off the home.
It's funny that I'm glad to hear you say that about the importance of saving for retirement. A lot of times I talk to parents who have a lot of kids, and they oftentimes quip that their children is their retirement strategy, and I usually ask them how that plan's working out for their parents.
Well, I told you our retirement's 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Let's see.
You get all the important ones on there?
Let's see, we got savings and emergency fund, vacations for the family, college funds for the kids, to secure our retirement, so we're not Walmart greeters. The ability to take care of our parents if that need arises, to pay off our home,
right,
to become completely debt-free.
good,
A second home or a vacation home.
right.
Get to the point where we can have that extra car, that new car.
Couples weekends.
Yes.
That's what you left out.
And couples weekends, yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
Super
All right.
important. Okay, so what we're doing today, really, Mike, is we're starting a brand new business for you. And sometimes I think it helps to sort of look at it from a completely different context. So let's get out of the world of financial services for a second here. And let's pretend, for example, that you and Ricky were going to open a restaurant.
Okay.
You and I both live in Chino Hills. And first of all, if you and Ricky were going to open your own restaurant, what kind of a restaurant would it be?
She loves Five Guys.
So a great classic burger joint.
Yes.
Like it. I like it a lot. Now, I don't know about you, but I've lived in Chino Hills long enough that if a new restaurant opens up and gets sort of bad, I mean, people just don't have a good first experience, what tends to happen?
It dies.
Quickly, doesn't
Yes.
it? We've seen a bunch of them.
Yes.
That great place off a Grand there?
It's coming on.
Come and gone.
There's some
And
spots
the place
that-
before it,
yes,
come and gone,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That there's that place off of Pine and Butterfield Ranch. It's the
Yes,
pub now.
yes.
Before that, it was the Gem, and it was Pablo's, or I don't know, it was like 4 other places, right? At the same time, if we go to a new restaurant in Chino Hills and have a good experience, what tends to happen?
You tell people about it. It grows. It grows on itself.
Doesn't it? I remember the first time that some of my friends told me about Waba Grill in Chino Hills. They're like, it's healthy, it's cheap, and it's fast. And I'm like, I'm there checking it out. And I had more than one person tell me about it. Yland, Yogurtland was the same way. You know, it was like it was all the buzz in Chino Hills, and so we went to check it out. If you were going to open a burger joint, I mean, obviously, the best way to go, the safest route to go from a business perspective, if you were going to pool all your money together, is to buy a Five Guys franchise, or to buy a successful burger franchise already that's sort of got a tried and true system that you know can't fail. But the challenge is, as we begin to look at the resources available for you and Ricky, we probably don't have the capital necessary to go that route. So what you've done is you've hired me, and I'm a professional restaurant entrepreneur. I help people like you and Ricky open family-owned restaurants, okay? And we're going to do so for pennies on the dollar compared to what a Five Guys would cost, but I believe in the end we'll be far more profitable than that. And so how do we go about doing that? Now, well, first of all, the unfortunate thing is even a less expensive version is going to cost a lot of money.
Okay.
So it's probably going to cost you and Ricky all of your savings, all of your retirement, any equity in your home, and we're probably going to have to borrow some money from the in-laws. So when we've got that much skin in the game, this thing can't fail. It's got to work, right? It's one thing to lose our own money. It's another thing to lose the in-laws' money, right?
Don't get to go back.
Yeah, no. Sometimes that's a good thing, but you know we're not going to speculate, right? So we're going to pull together these resources, and we're going to find the perfect location in Chino Hills for this burger restaurant, right? Then we're going to go out and buy all the equipment. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of equipment. And then what we need to do, Mike, is we need to hire a diverse group of people to work there. What do I mean by that? Well, we need to have a bus boy and some dishwashers, right? You and Ricky could roll up your sleeves, certainly. I know you guys, you've got a strong work ethic, and do that job if necessary. But if we hired people like you, they're not going to want to do that job 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week. So we need to hire a diverse group of people because we need bus boys and dishwashers. We need waiters and waitresses. We need a cute little hostess for when the place gets super busy on a Friday or Saturday night, right?
Yes.
Need a general manager to run the place when you're taking your kids to school and sports and traveling to do things. You can't be there 100 hours a week, you and Ricky, right? We may need a bartender or a sous chef or a general chef to sort of put together everything of that nature, right? And so we're going to need to hire all these different people. And because we know restaurants are so fickle, especially in Chino Hills, right? Before we open it up to the public, we cannot risk anything not going perfect when we have a grand opening for the public. Now, I've done this enough times with so many different people in so many restaurants. I've got a great reputation and great experience. We're probably not going to miss anything. We're going to dot every I and cross every T. But just to be sure, what I'm going to encourage us to do is have a pre-grand opening or a soft grand opening. And what I mean by that is it's an opportunity for us to invite as many people as possible to experience the new restaurant. We want to invite people that know us well enough that they're going to give us an honest opinion on the experience. And then if it's not perfect, let's say the font on the menu is too small for some people to read, or there's not enough things on the kids menu, that they'll give us that feedback so we can make those little adjustments before we open it up to the public, because we got one chance with the general public, right?
Yeah.
So who are people that we know well that we can invite down to the restaurant that we trust, that would give us honest feedback and could help us to sort of improve the experience?
Friends, family.
Good.
Church friends.
Sure.
Kids, the kids
sports
friends,
people,
sports, yes.
The neighbors, sort of that group of people.
Yeah.
And we want to pack out really this pre-grand opening with all of these people. And the goal is for us to give them an unbelievable experience, much like I did the first time at Waba Grill, or the first time at Yogurtland, where we want to come back, where we want to bring friends, where we want to be a part of it. And so we use this example all the time of it being like opening a restaurant. I grew up in St. Louis, and so the thing that I always sort of try and refer everything to is baseball. And baseball's sort of big out here. You got that Dodger team and the Angels, but like in St. Louis, we've had some bona fide sluggers over the years. Pujols, McGuire, Stan the Man Musial, and every time they come up to the plate, there's always this possibility of them knocking it out of the park. Right? Just hitting a home run. But the reality of baseball, to be really successful at baseball, is not to hit a home run every time, but just to get on to first base. First base. Matter of fact, if you get on first base enough times throughout the course of a season, 3 out of 10 times, we call you an all-star. Or that's what they call you in Major League Baseball. If you consistently get on base over the course of your career 3 out of 10 times, they call you
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. You signed to baseball, HOF, and then your name, right? That's a big deal. And so in our business, as we're having this pre-grand opening and we're exposing what you're doing and inviting people down and we're introducing what you're doing to people, our goal is just to get to first base. And our goal, first base, Mike, is just for the people that you know to walk away impressed. That's the only goal. What do I mean by that? If you took us to one person that you knew, and in some small way, I exaggerated a little bit or was a little bit overly assertive, and in some small way made the relationship that you have with them strained or uncomfortable, how many more people would you take me to go see?
I wouldn't.
None, right? That's your insurance or assurance that would never happen. That wouldn't be good for your business, wouldn't be good for my business. The only thing that we want to focus on is when we meet with the people that you know, I want them to be impressed with the company that you're in business with, the people that you're in business with, what we're trying to do to teach you and train you and help you to build a business, and what we're trying to do to serve the community. And if they walk away just feeling good, and that's our only outcome, one of 3 things will happen. Either A, they'll give us some referrals. Like you may, if we were opening a burger restaurant, for example, you may have some friends from Calabasas or friends from Redlands come in for the pre-grand opening because they're friends of yours. And they may have a great experience, but what's the likelihood they're going to come back and be regular clients?
Only when they visit.
Yeah, not very good. But they may know people that live in the area, live in Diamond Bar or Corona, that they would let know about the restaurant. They could come closer. They could give you some referrals. There's other people that would visit the restaurant that either live in Chino Hills or work near around Chino Hills and be like, Mike, Ricky, you guys are really onto something. Love your place, right? I'm going to come back during the week with some fellows from work, or we'll be sure and come here Saturday night after church with the kids, that sort of thing. And so some of those individuals that came down would become clients. And I would suggest the last thing is this, is if you really had a winner, like the first time I walked into Waba Grill, the first time I walked into Yogurtland, right? The first time I've walked into a number of businesses, you get the sense there's an energy there, there's an idea there, there's a product there, there's a level of service there that you just go, wow. This place is going to be here a long time and they're going to make a boatload of money. You can just tell, right? There's some places right away you just know. And other places you walk in right away and go, I have no idea how they're going to stay in business another day. Right?
No energy.
I believe this, if we really do a great job of opening this burger shop, if things are really set up the right way, you're going to have a small group of friends that we just hope to impress, but they're going to walk in and they're going to have such a great experience. They're going to go, you know what, Mike, Ricky, I respect you guys a lot. I've always admired you guys. We've always been close. I don't know if you're looking for more capital to fund this restaurant. I don't know if you've thought about maybe expanding the footprint. I don't know if you've thought about franchising, maybe opening other locations, but we'd love to be in business with you. We think you've got a winner here, and if you're looking for more capital, we'd love to be in business with you.
Okay.
I think that's a smaller percentage of them, but I think there's a number of people that would look at it from that perspective, from what we might call in our business a new associate perspective. Okay? And so the goal is, though, first and foremost, and I've done this a number of times, Mike, is we may sit down with somebody that you go, hey, I think they're going to be a great client. And as soon as you say that, you know what I'm going to say? No, I'm not listening, because what I know is the only goal that I have is for them to walk away impressed.
Okay.
And when I say impressed, I don't mean like wow. I mean them feeling good about what you're doing and who you're doing it with.
Okay.
You may go, hey, I think this guy would be great at the business, or I think he's looking. No. All I'm focused on is him walking away impressed. And then let the chips fall where they may.
Okay.
If we just aim for this every single time, this way we teach all of our trainers out in the field, then they're either going to give us referrals, or they're going to choose the client path. They're going to go, you know what, I don't have an agent, I've never had a financial plan, or I've had one, it's been a while, I'm looking for a second opinion. And a smaller group, they go, you know what, I'm interested in taking a look at the career opportunity.
Okay.
And so the goal for us, though, is because we don't want to put any pressure on them, here's what I believe is most important. If we really don't want to put pressure on them, then here's the key. We need to put pressure on us. And the way that we put pressure on us, from my perspective, is we need a big pre-grand opening list.
Okay.
The bigger the list is, the greater that our odds or probability of succeeding is, and the less pressure that we have to put on them. If we have a small list, like 25 or 35 or 40 names, it almost puts a lot of pressure on us. Like almost everybody we talk to has to agree to an appointment. They have to give us some referrals, because how else are we going to grow it? We don't want to have to like do cold calling or any of that sort of nonsense, right? But if we build a big enough list, let's say it's 100 or 150 or 200 names, right? A big list. We could line by line look at every single name on that list and come up with reasons why we probably shouldn't call them, or whatever the case might be. But if we look at the entirety of it, let's be honest. Me and you look at a list of 100 names of people that you sort of know or know well. If we called all 100 and met with them, no matter how passive we are, is there any way we could possibly fail?
No.
The numbers are the numbers. Enough of them are going to be interested in hearing about it, giving us referrals. Enough are going to have needs that we can address from a client perspective. And enough of them are going to be, just like you and Ricky, looking to supplement their income or make a career transition if the money's right. We can look at that list all day long. There's no way we're going to be able to predict who's going to do what.
Okay.
But if we just talk to the people and let them know what you're doing, and they walk away with a good feeling, the numbers are going to play out. They're going to be just terrific. So what I always encourage people to do, and what we're going to do here in just a second, we're going to get started, is we're going to build a big list of over 100 names.
Okay.
It's the number one thing that we're going to do. Now, as we're doing this, this is a brainstorming exercise. So what I mean by that is we tend to have this filter in our brain that goes, oh yeah, what about him? No, not him because of this, or no, not her because of that. What I want to do is brainstorming is we remove all the filters. We just literally lift the top off of our head and dump our brain.
Okay.
Just brain dump, and there's no rules, there's no wrong names. I don't care if they're 93 years old.
Okay.
We're going to put their name on there. I don't care if they live in Idaho. I don't care if they only speak Spanish or only speak Portuguese or only speak Italian.
Okay.
I don't care. What I want is just because the more names that are on there, the more confidence it's going to give you, and the more relaxed we're both going to be. So if we can put pressure on ourselves now to build a big list, all the pressure is going to be up. Some of the people you may not know very well. And in some cases, in my experience, sometimes we'll do better with people that barely know you than people that know you well. I don't know why that is. It just is. Okay? You may have people that you know, but you don't know their name. Like I see the sweetest lady at the dry cleaner. I see her 2 or 3 times. For the life of me, I couldn't tell you her name. But I could easily go lady at dry cleaner and on to the next one. Okay? So we just want to dump as many names as possible on there. And then what we're going to do is shoot for 100. If you start slowing down, here's what I want you to do. You start slowing down, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to ask you to keep your head down looking at the paper and your pen here. Right on the paper, okay? And I'm going to start coming up with word pictures for you to think of different groups of people that are going to jog your memory. Some of them will be good word pictures. You go, oh yeah, Joe. Others will be like, I may go, think of the guys you golf with most often. You go, I've never golfed in my life. Just head down, pen on paper, and just wait for the next one, okay? And what you'll find also is I'm going to stimulate a bunch of images in your mind. You're not always going to be able to think of the name right now, but later in the week when you're not trying to think of it, you're going to go, Oh yeah, so and so. And so this is going to be a list that we're going to continue to add and continue to grow over the course of your career here, okay?
So I can grab my phone and
whatever. That's not cheating at all. Absolutely.
Pull the list out of the phone if I need to.
So we're gonna start off with over 100, and then we're gonna boil it down to 25. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say instead of a restaurant, let's say me and you were opening a Mercedes-Benz dealership in Chino Hills, and a 19-year-old kid walked on the lot with $100 grand cash in his pocket and said, "Hey, I want to buy that Benz." Would we sell him that Benz?
Yes.
You bet we would. That's the business we're in, right? Would we change our marketing plan to 19-year-old kids?
No.
Of course not, because there's a certain demographic, a certain age group, a certain income and net worth of people that traditionally buy Mercedes-Benzes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this top 100 that you build that's all kinds of demographics, and we're going to boil it down to the top 25 of the people who are in the best demographic for you. We're going to have the highest probability of them wanting to sit down with us and them wanting to hear about what we're talking about and sort of move on to the next step.
Okay.
Fair enough. Now, in my experience, we're going to try and call these people. We'll probably sit down 2 different times together and make phone calls together.
Okay.
Because the reason why I want you to make them together is how many chances do we have to make a first impression? One, right? So I want to make the best possible first impression, so that's you and me making the call together.
Okay.
And then the goal is going to be for us to try and just schedule a time to get together with them, just a 25 or 30-minute appointment, something very, very short. Okay? My experience has been, even if we sit down twice, we're not going to get a hold of all 25 of these people. My experience is we're probably going to get a hold of about 18 to 20 of these people.
Okay.
Okay? That's sort of a maximum. And if we take these 18 to 20, here's what's going to happen. We're probably going to schedule 10 to 12 appointments, because a half dozen are going, let me check with my wife, or we're out of town next week, or whatever. Things will happen. But we'll schedule 10 to 12 appointments right out of the chute, and all 10 to 12 of those people will walk away impressed with what you're doing. Okay. Impressed with who you're in business with and what we're trying to accomplish. And then the chips fall where they may. Here's what's going to happen in my experience. Somewhere between 6 to 8 of these people, Mike, are going to ask us to come back and sort of do a client assessment with them and see if we can help them in that area. And somewhere around 2 to 3 are going to look at us from a career opportunity standpoint as a new associate. Okay. Now, of the 2 to 3, each one of them is going to build a top 100 list, so that's 200 to 300 more names right there. And they're going to boil it down to a top 25 list, so that's going to boil down to 50 to 75 that are sort of in our market, right? Yeah. And then of the clients, not my best agents out in the field, but my new agents that get licensed and get validated with us, they tend to average about 5 referrals per client. So that's going to be an additional to 30 to 40 referrals there. So if we have the 30 to 40 from the clients and then the 50 to 75 from the new associates, we're looking at another 80 to 115 new warm market referrals for you to go to contact. See, the people in your warm market, Mike, they know you, they love you, and they totally trust you. They'll let you watch their children. They trust you so much. Yes. They just won't let you watch their money, right? Because that's a completely different deal. Yeah. They don't want you practicing with their money, right? So, but once we get referred out of your warm market into that secondary market, those people don't see you the same way, right? So we want to get out of the way of your warm market as soon as possible. Now, in your warm market, you've got all the credibility in the world with them, but you don't have the expertise. I do. Okay. But now in your warm market, I have all the expertise, but I have no credibility. I'm a stranger. So you by yourself, you're not going to do very well in that market. Me by myself in your market, I'm not going to do very well. But the two of us together are the perfect tandem of credibility and expertise. And we can sit down then and have a great conversation with them about what our company does and what we're trying to do in the marketplace. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. From there, when we get into the secondary market, let's say we sat down with Michelle and Eric, for example. And we were able to put together a plan for them. They were thrilled about us, and they referred us to friends of theirs named Roger and Katie. Well, you don't know Roger and Katie, I don't, but Michelle and Eric have known them for years, right? And they call Roger and Katie and go, look, we've known Mike for years. He's a terrific guy. Him and his company sat down with Eric and I, and were really able to help us with a lot of stuff. I don't know if he can do the same thing for you or not, but you ought to at least talk to him. He's a really nice guy, and his company really does some impressive stuff. Now when you contact Roger and Katie, you've got all the credibility of Michelle and Eric going with you, but there's a perceived level of expertise when you're walking in the door. They know, Roger and Katie don't look at you as Mike, the new guy in financial services. And by the way, by the time we get to that second generation, you should have enough client appointments, you should have enough interviews, you should have enough appointments and experiences to where your expertise is really going up quickly and to where we're ready to validate you as a licensed field trainer. Okay? So it's not just coincidental, it's not just their perspective, but you should really have a much higher skill set by the time you get there. Okay? So here's where we want to get started. We want to get started by